It's my pleasure to welcome Representative Blake Moore, who joined Congress in 2021 and represents Utah's 1st District. He currently serves as the first ever Utah Republican on the House Ways and Means Committee, where he sits on the Healthcare, Social Security, and Work and Welfare subcommittees. He also serves on the House Budget Committee and is the vice chair of the House Republican Conference. He's the first Utahn to ever be elected to House or Senate leadership. Congressman Moore has been a leader on bipartisan legislation to address the access to capital issues currently preventing the middle class from building wealth through ESOPs and employee ownership. He joined us a couple of years ago for our first ever forum. He told this story about how he plays center field on the GOP's baseball team for the annual competition between them and the Democrats. So I got curious last night and I was like, I want to look at this guy's career stats. And I found out an interesting fact that last year, the GOP's been crushing the Democrats for like 4 or 5 years in a row. And I think in large part it's because of this guy, because last year he had 5 RBIs and played with the stomach flu. So so this is definitely a guy you want on your team and in your dugout, and I think we're all glad he's a part of the employee ownership movement.
I mean, we've won 4 straight years. I joined Congress 4 years ago. I'll let you all make the assumptions. Hi, Sarah. She's taking a picture of me right now. You can take as many as you want. I love this topic. We have a basketball game tonight. That's the important part. So I'm a multi-sport guy back here. And now that March Madness is over, I think the hype has been building for this game tonight. So I'm sure you're all very, very aware of it. We play the lobbyists, so there's a little extra. It's like Dems and Republicans join forces tonight and go after the swamp, which is. But I love this because I get to see Sarah again, and when you get to interact with people in a professional manner before here and keep that relationship connection going, it's key because we're a product of our experience, and you learn things in life along the way. And the fact that I can apply the things that I learned from Sarah in particular and the work that we did in that consulting relationship to my job literally can help me show up to this miserable existence on a daily basis. Today was going to start out to be the worst day of my time. It's a tough vote. I hate this vote. We are trying to find ways to trim out excess. We're looking ahead. We're going to spend $84 trillion. There's going to be $84 trillion of expenditures over the next decade. And all the Republicans are trying to do is find $1.5 trillion to $2 trillion of that potential growth and just find a way to limit that, 1.5 to 2 trillion. Folks, that's not much. And we're going to get beat up for it because anything's related to Medicaid or this or that. It's not much. It's $200 billion, it's $150 billion on a $7 trillion budget. Any one of your businesses, if you're involved in the professional, you should be able to find that if it's dire, right? And we're not even going to be able to. It's like we put that forward. The Senate sent us a bill that cuts $3 billion over 10 years. We did $1.5 trillion, and they did $3 billion floor. Now, it's to provide for maximum flexibility as we get this tax piece done and yada, yada, yada. But it's just such a tough vote. And I thought this was going to be the worst day of my life until about an hour ago, I saved the stock market. So I finished my line of questioning. I'm on the trade subcommittee in Ways and Means. And we have Jameson Greer in. He's the ambassador for USTR. So he's the trade ambassador, an exceptional guy. BYU grad. I'm a University of Utah grad, so we have this riff already. But it's like when you're with your rival, you're actually quite close to your rival when you're against the rest of the world. And so we have this banter, but I did a sincere line of questioning, and I didn't toe the party line. And I pushed back on this whole tariff plan and what it's doing to some of the businesses in my district. And it's not always easy to sort of push against the narrative of your own party. And as I finished the line of questioning, it was very sincere, it was very respectful, but it was pushed. And he responded great. And literally 4 minutes after I got done, Trump announced that he was pausing all tariffs. And so I don't know how else to look at that. Is besides, yeah, it's just kind of like the baseball thing. This is what they're saying. I'm not saying it. They're saying it. And I did actually put out that it was like Jordan's flu game last year. I was at Jordan's flu game in Utah when he beat the Jazz, and so I've always had a lot of animosity towards his flu game when it wasn't really a flu, or when he was poisoned, whatever. Anyway, back to the point. I'll make it just quickly. Like I love being considered the House lead on this issue. I have tried to go around my district and see as many ESOPs that are in Utah. When talking to my father-in-law, who's a business titan in Utah, and people ask me what's the one thing that could help the middle class more than anything, and it's off my tongue, ESOPs. The work that you all are doing, the work that your government affairs teams are doing to educate me have given me the ability to, now that I'm on steering committee and I have a leadership role, when the small business Chairman Williams wasn't even running against anybody, but he has to come in and speak to the steering committee so we can approve his bid for chairmanship of that committee. This was a lock. He was going to be the chairman, but I used that as an opportunity to be like, Chairman, why are we not moving this forward? Like, what is it about? Like, are we not now the party of the middle class? Like, this is the one thing that can do it in a sustainable way. This isn't a giveaway. This is taking the opportunity for professionals, for owners of a company to create a legacy for themselves and to enhance the lives of their employees. There's only win-wins here, right? And as you talk about the new world of social impact, the double bottom line, and the things that companies are trying to do to improve lives of those in their communities, and overall, like, this is core. So continue the fight. I love being a heavy part of it, being on Ways and Means, as there's a strategy shift within this environment to think, okay, how can we use this and move it into a Ways and Means aspect and not just related to small business. I think there's a play at both of those committees. Consider me your strongest ally, and whatever I can do to build relationships with the Dems to approach this. I'm not going to give up the baseball thing. We're going to beat them. But if there's anything else we can do, I sincerely would love to be able to help. So they just called votes right as we were walking over here, so I'll have to take off to votes real quick. But with that, is there anything out there? I'm happy to answer any questions or give you perspective on anything that is going on. Don't be bashful. I hated losing Dean Phillips. He was kind of like this really reasonable, smart Democrat that I became good friends with him. We're actually from the same fraternity. Don't get me talking about the fraternity days. It's just nothing but bad. But he gave me a little confidence to be like, okay, I can kind of get out ahead of my party a little bit. And then and the joke about the baseball, we joke about baseball, but I mean, that's the skipper, that's the coach for the baseball team, the manager. He's the chairman of, where I went to him and I said, you want me out in left field, you're going to have to consider some of this more EIA stuff. Like, I'm starting to leverage this role. And now with the new freshman class, I don't know how good they are at center field, so I have to be a little hesitant because I'm like, I don't want him to just say, like, we got somebody to fill your spot. I won't go. But I'm trying to play every angle and communicate it and get it out there. And I will remind you that the center of power within the Republican Party now obviously goes to Louisiana. Number 1 and number 2 are from Louisiana. Well, who was one of the first ESOPs that you all know of? Richard Juschlag, right? Ambulatory Services, set up his company as an ESOP, created a legacy, one of the biggest donors and supporters of Louisiana politicians. So remember that. I've proposed naming things after him, so that would capture attention. I mention it to Speaker and Scalise all the time. So don't think that those intangibles don't matter. And however you need me to help push, you haven't asked much of me. Showing up to this event is something that's easy to do, but continue to work with my team and hopefully push whatever angles we can to advance some of this stuff. So it really does matter. I remember, and when I said that to my father-in-law, it was kind of this realization like, yeah, I don't disagree with you. That would require me to give up a lot of equity and potentially, instead of passing a lot of this wealth to my children, and because he keeps a lot of it, he wants the business to function. He's like, that would be a lot for me to do that, and I recognize that, and I wouldn't expect that, and I don't expect that from people to do it. but people that want to do it should have the ability and the incentive to make it as painless as possible to go through that. Because I saw he's one of the most giving, thoughtful, productive, compassionate people that I know. And for him to be like, oh man, I've built an empire here. I've created jobs through this community, countless, with force multiplier on all the real estate and everything that we do. That would be a hard thing for me to do. As a principal, now he's 84, chairman of the board. His 2 sons run the company. It'd be hard for them to do it. One of their biggest partners, Jacobson Construction, is all in. So they also see the connection of it. What can we do to create a movement within our communities so people can see the value and the benefit that Jacobson Construction gets out of this with such loyalty with their employee base? And how do the other construction companies feel like, gosh, we need to be doing this? And it comes down to that principle being willing to do what is actually a probably pretty scary, tough thing. Because they're choosing sometimes between maybe some wealth for their family versus, wealth for the existence of their business ongoing. Both good things, but it's a tough decision that they have to make. And I didn't really recognize or internalize that until I saw my father-in-law see my exuberance for it and him be like, oh, but I'd be hesitant to some degree because of this. Still going to do amazingly good things, but getting people to jump over that hump, we should be able to do our part. So, appreciate it. Anything else? Anything? Okay. I'm going to run off to votes. I think that there's somebody probably more important here to share with you. I hope this is valuable to you all. If you take nothing else, please reach out to my team. Let us know if there's some particulars or specifics we can do. I will keep going back home and communicating how much I appreciate this. So, thank you.